Hey everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Movies for Life YouTube channel. And welcome to this final video for 1982 to wrap up as part of my overall 1980s horror series. Of course, I'll be giving you my top 20 horror movies from 1982 in this video, and two honorable mentions. No dishonorable mentions with this particular year. Even though there were some pretty crappy movies. There's a lot of good movies too for 1982, but like I said, top 20 for 1982. Plus, I'll sort of summarize the year overall as a horror year. First, I want to show you guys a Christmas present I got from my wife here. I got this hoodie, this black hoodie with the Overlook Hotel. Yeah, I really like that. I got it as a Christmas present, and unfortunately, I was too sick to really wear it or enjoy it before now. But I figured it'd be a good time to bust it out for this particular video. So, before I get into it, I just kind of want to give you guys the parameters once again, just like I do with every year in the 1980s that I review. This will include movies not only that I individually reviewed over the last several months as part of this series, but you could also, it's possible, and I'll say it's more than likely, that you're going to get movies that I reviewed from 1982 from previous series that go back 4 or 5 years. Something like Creepshow, for example, just throwing it out there. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. And I'm gonna do my best not to talk too much about these movies because all the individual reviews are up on my channel. The majority of them over 4 of the last 5 months, with the only month that I didn't do 1982 being the month of October, where I revisited the Halloween series and took a look at some other newer Halloween kind of movies in my collection. But August, September, November, and December have all been 1982 horror movie reviews. So you can find those on my channel, as well as, like I said, the earlier ones that weren't reviewed in the last 5 months, but were reviewed earlier on my channel at some point. So with all that being said, I think that's the housekeeping stuff that I wanted to bring up. So yeah, like I said, no dishonorable mentions, so we're just going to go ahead and get into this. Starting with the two movies, which happen to both be slashers, that are my honorable mentions from 1982. The first one is one that I reviewed recently, The Dorm That Dripped Blood. I gave this movie a 7 out of 10, I believe. Yeah, 7 out of 10 for The Dorm That Dripped Blood. And again, as I said in my review, that part of the reason I'm giving this movie more credit than it necessarily on the surface deserves is because it was shot and made by college students. And with that, I thought they did a really good job. And I still have fun with it as a slasher movie, as an early 80s slasher movie, even though it does have its issues for sure. But The Dorm That Dripped Blood is my first honorable mention. And then my other honorable mention from 1982 is Girls' Night Out, which I have the slipcover here. It's known by another name too, and it escapes me at the moment. But I really enjoyed this slasher movie, so I had to put it on there as an honorable mention. It has Hal Holbrook in it as well, which is kind of odd, but I really like the college setting of this one, and so yeah, Girls' Night Out. So that's the other one. I guess I should mention that I think there's 6 out of the top 20. 6 of them are slasher movies, so 8 if you include these honorable mentions. But 6 of the top 20 are considered 1982 slasher horror movies. But those are my 2 honorable mentions. Now we'll go ahead and get into the top 20 here. By the way, I gave Girls' Night Out a 7.5 out of 10 when I reviewed it individually, as I did this next movie, my number 20. And that movie is a little bit of a surprise. But on Blu-ray, that movie is Superstition, is my number 20. Yeah, I really like this witch movie, basically. I really like this one, Superstition, and so I'm just kind of looking through some of my notes. It's a supernatural slasher witch movie. Good kills, good stalking, and a good setting are basically my highlights of this movie. So Superstition, number 20 for me. Number 19, and I'm surprised that actually this movie isn't higher, but that goes to show you there are a lot of quality movies for 1982 that I really enjoyed. But this is definitely one that I like, and that is one that I reviewed early for 1982, and that's Next of Kin, which I have the Severin DVD for here. Yeah, this movie, it was really all about atmosphere. That's what really made this movie stand out from an enjoyable standpoint. Just great atmosphere in this movie. And the third act was also quite good as well. So, Next of Kin from 1982, number 19 on my list. And that's considered one of the slasher movies, I believe, that I talked about. Number 18 is another slasher movie from Arrow Blu-ray here. And that movie is The Slayer. Yeah, this is another one that kind of surprised me. I didn't expect this to be a top 20 movie, but I just really enjoyed The Slayer. I really like the ambiguity involved here. I really like the setting of the coastal town in this movie. Really atmospheric. I probably shouldn't be looking at my notes. That's taking away from the camera. So I think I'm going to avoid that from now on and just go with the movie. But The Slayer is not my number 18. I really enjoyed it, especially for having only seen it once. Number 17 is going to be one that I actually purchased after watching it through streaming. And that movie is, with Joe Spinell, The Last Horror Film, which I now have on DVD, a Troma release here. Yeah, I thought Joe Spinell was just equally great in this movie as he was in Maniac from 1980, and I just really liked The Last Horror Film. All you have to do is go back and watch my review for it, but The Last Horror Film, number 17 for me for 1982. Number 16 is definitely more of a thriller. In fact, it might have been no, I don't think it was a made-for-TV movie, but you could make that assumption. But that movie is Murder by Phone, another movie that I purchased here on DVD. It's also known as Bells, but I actually streamed this originally when I did my review. But I really like this movie, and Richard Chamberlain and John Houseman being in this movie definitely give it more gravitas and definitely add to my enjoyment of it. But overall, even though the premise is kind of ridiculous, I remember just really liking this movie. It's been a couple months now since I did my review, but yeah, Murder by Phone, number 16. Now we're getting into the top 15 here. Number 15 is another slasher movie. This is a pretty well-known one from 1982, a really fun one. Kind of ridiculous, but a lot of fun, and it's hard not to... It would be impossible not to have it on this list somewhere, and that is the very first movie that I reviewed for 1982, The Slumber Party Massacre, that I have on Scream Factory Blu-ray here, The Driller Killer. This is a lot of fun. It's a lot of tongue-in-cheek in this movie. I really think this works. This has the slasher formula. I think it does the slasher formula about as well as any slasher movie does. At least through the first 3 years of the decade here. And The Slumber Party Massacre, can't go wrong with it. Number 15 for 1982. Number 14, right behind that, is another slasher movie with young women. And that movie is one that I reviewed more recently, The House on Sorority Row. Really liked this movie. I really liked the sorority setting. Kind of the prank gone wrong sort of setup and premise here. But yeah, The House on Sorority Row is definitely one of my favorite slashers from 1982. And overall, it's number 14 for me. Number 13 is another slasher movie, believe it or not. And this one kind of surprised me as much of anything as the fact that it doesn't get talked about a whole lot. And that is Visiting Hours, which shares with Bad Dreams on this double pack by Scream Factory here. Visiting Hours I really enjoyed. I don't know why it doesn't get talked about more. One of the things I really enjoyed most about it was the performance by Michael Ironside in this movie. He's full batshit crazy killer in this movie, and I love the hospital setting and how they explore the space as well in the movie. So, Visiting Hours, number 13. Let's see, number 12. We're going to go away from the slasher movie for a minute here. And we're going to talk about one that I also reviewed early on in this series, and that is The Incubus from 1982. Um, lot of gothic overtones in this movie. John Cassavetes, the Incubus. He is the destroyer, the dreams, the nightmares, the desires, the fears, the mystery, the revelation, the warning. Yeah, Incubus, just a great movie. I remember really liking the atmosphere in this movie. Number 12. It's kind of hard. I have to try to remember some of these without going through my notes because we're talking about 5 months ago for some of these on my list. And I haven't, I've seen a lot of movies since then. But anyway, now we get into number 11. And this is the physical media I got for it is a replacement physical media because I really liked the movie, obviously. I had it on a standard, I got it on a standard DVD, but now I have the Arrow Blu-ray, and that movie is Basket Case. Basket Case from 1982. Yeah, what can you say? Just a really interesting premise, and I guess you could call it a creature feature slasher. The New York setting is great, but yeah, Basket Case number 11 for me. All right, now we're into the top 10, guys, and this is where we really separate the men from the boys. Or I should say the great from the greatest. My number 10 horror movie from 1982 is Tenebrae. Definitely at this point anyway, probably my favorite Giallo movie. Absolutely love Tenebrae. Just the color palette, but the mystery involved and the twists and turns of this movie are great. So yeah, Tenebrae is my number 10 for 1982. Number 9 is a movie that I really, really liked, and that is The Entity that I have on Scream Factory Blu-ray here. The performance by Barbara Hershey it's one of the great horror performances, I think, of all time. This movie's just really good. The effects are good. But really, Barbara Hershey steals the show here. Yeah, it's great. I love The Entity. That's my number 9. Number 8 is going to be one that a lot of people probably wouldn't have this high, but it's more of metaphorical kind of horror, but I really enjoyed this movie, and that is Cat People that I have on Blu-ray by Scream Factory here. Natasha Kinski, Malcolm McDowell both do a great job, and I just really love the imagery in this movie and the atmosphere. So yeah, Cat People, number 8. Number 7. This is a movie I don't believe it was part of this 1982 review series. I think I reviewed this a few years ago, but that movie is Amityville 2, The Possession from 1982, part of this 3-pack that I kind of made up myself. It's got the original, The Possession, and Amityville 3D. But Amityville 2, The Possession, this is actually my favorite Amityville movie. I like this more than the original. It's scary. I like the characters, this family. It's just there's a lot of kills, there's a lot of blood. It's very well done. Amityville 2, The Possession, my number 7. Number 6 is a movie in a franchise that probably a lot of you are familiar with, and that is Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. This is one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies. Dana Kimmel is one of my favorite final girls in the series. Richard Brooker's one of my favorite Jasons in the series. I just love Friday the 13th Part 3. What else can I say about it? That's my number 6. And now we get into the top 5 here, and this is really some of my favorite horror movies of all times now we're talking about. Number 5 is one that I reviewed about a month or two ago. It's a slasher movie once again, and that is Alone in the Dark, which I have the Scream Factory slipcover here and Blu-ray. Jack Palance, Donald Pleasance, Martin Landau. I mean, what can you say? Those three alone. And then there's really solid atmosphere in this movie and some great stalking and slashing. Especially the third act of this movie is great. So, Alone in the Dark, number 5 for me for 1982. Number 4 is one that I visited in October again and talked about. and that movie is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch from 1982. This is one of my favorite Halloween movies, and yes, that might be a hot take because it doesn't have Michael Myers in it, but I just love the premise of this movie. I just love the atmosphere in it. I love the Tom Atkins, Stacy Nelkin, Donald Hurley in this movie. It's just such a great sci-fi mystery that goes on here with great atmosphere, and it's a great Halloween movie, and every year watch for me. So that's Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, my number 4. Top 3 now. My number 3, and while I didn't review it as part of this series, but earlier, I did get this upgrade this year, and that is Creepshow, which I have the... I went big on this when I got the hard case box set for Creepshow from 1982. What can you say? Definitely one of the best horror anthologies of all time. 5 solid stories. Romero and King. Yeah, I love Creepshow. So that's my number 3. And now we're down to the top 2. My number 2 is one that I did review for this series, and even though I'd seen it before, it'd been a while, and I forgot how great this movie was from a technical standpoint, from a production standpoint. But this time, I think more of what caught me was the family standpoint, and that movie is Poltergeist, which I gave a 9 out of 10 to. I absolutely love the original Poltergeist. It's a really good supernatural suburban house life kind of movie. It's very quotable. Like I said, the family dynamic is really what sold it this time around more so than before to make it my number 2 favorite horror movie from 1982. But number 1, and this probably isn't going to be a surprise to anybody if you've been on my channel for a while, you know what some of my favorite horror movies of all time. But number 1 is easily The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing, which was actually a remake of A Thing from Another World from the 1950s. But John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. The effects, top-notch. The performances, top-notch. The setting, I absolutely love, top-notch. And the paranoia that's created by John Carpenter in this movie. The music, the ending, the ambiguity of it. Absolutely love everything about this movie. It's a 10 out of 10 horror movie, so it was easy for this to be the number 1 best horror movie for 1982. John Carpenter's The Thing. So there you go. That's my top 20 plus 2 honorable mentions. I'm going to try to wrap this up within 20 minutes. Just wanted to say that 1982, going into it, I didn't realize what a strong year it was for horror. Not just slashers, again, of course, like the first couple of years were. I don't think this year was quite as strong for slasher movies as 1981. I don't think any year was, but certainly there's some fun slasher movies in 1982. But just overall, from your supernatural movies, from your atmospheric horror movies, 1982 kind of has it all. A very strong year in horror. And frankly, there were movies that I didn't even mention in my top 20 or my honorable mentions that I could have included. Some great movies that I have in my collection that just weren't quite. I couldn't put everything in the top 20. But yeah, 1982, really enjoyable year. A lot of horror movies. That's why it took me 4 months to review them all. But some of the best movies of all time are in 1982, as I've said in my top 3 or 4 there. So. What else can you say? Not much, but there's some clunkers too, don't get me wrong. Some ones I could have brought up as dishonorable mentions, but they're the ones I don't have in my collection. They're ones that I streamed. They're ones that are on YouTube and don't have any kind of physical release, but overall a strong year in 1982. So go ahead and comment down below your guys' overall thoughts on my 1982 horror movie review, part of the series. If there's any movies I left off that you'd have in your top 20 or that you think are, or the ones that I have in my top 20 that you don't think are as good as I do, comment down below. I'd be interested in hearing them. Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It would really help me out for the future content on my channel and the overall channel going forward. with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed my 1982 horror movie reviews over 4 of the last 5 months, and that you enjoyed my top 20 ranking here. Again, just for myself, I guess that's the one caveat I forgot to include, that you always have to include whenever you're doing a top whatever kind of ranking. This is just my opinion. This isn't factual. I mean, it shouldn't be something I have to throw out there every year, but there's always going to be people that comment and say, you don't have this movie in there, or how could you have this movie ranked so high? Because it's my opinion, and that's what opinions are. So, anyway, with all that being said, that concludes this part of my overall 1980s horror series. Until we get into 1983, which will be at some point in 2026. I'm also going to have a 2025 in review in 2026 looking forward video that'll probably drop tomorrow on New Year's Eve to wrap up the whole year. But with that being said, thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed the reviews and the ranking. And as always, stay scared. Bye.